Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2017 Overwatch World Cup, live from BlizzCon here in Anaheim, California. Golden Boy here, your host for this weekend, joined by Jamerson as we get ready for this next matchup. We're now joined by my main man, Mr. Wordsmith himself.
What's up, dude?
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit shaken up, I guess, after that last game. Definitely had all the things you love in a top-level game of international Overwatch. So I'm still hyped up from that one, but I'm sure it's going to get even better as the day goes.
Now, I'm going to have to throw you under the bus here, my friend, because at the end of that game, you said, Australia, you are Crocodile Dundee.
I don't recall that.
Yeah,
I don't think I said that.
You don't remember that at all?
Man, no recollection of that.
It's almost as if we have technology and people could just go back and watch something and witness it for themselves.
Look, sometimes things just come to mind. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not so good.
Yeah,
you just got to own it at the end of the day.
I actually think it was pretty good.
Thanks, bro.
You know, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of other people felt it differently. In any case, I loved it. Guys, let's talk about the brackets, though. We got to jump into this because we have some updates. What a match we just saw between Canada and Australia. Canada coming out 3-2, much to Uber's dismay. But still, though, you got to cast some excellent Overwatch, so that's never a bad thing.
Absolutely.
And now we're here with France versus China, a matchup that I keep saying we wanted to see in Shanghai, but we didn't get a chance to make that one happen. Now, you guys weren't there for the sweltering heat of Shanghai, China, although you just came back there and you said the weather was quite nice this time of year.
Oh, it was gorgeous. It was lovely.
I hate you. It was like 150
we had our
degrees.
AC working and everything. It was fine.
I don't know
we
if
were
you
in the
guys...
same studio, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. I don't know if you guys could tell. I mean, based off of I'm trying to look at myself here. I sweat pretty much sitting down. So can you imagine me, the fat man, at 150 degrees in Shanghai?
I was there last year. I did the APAC
That's true.
The year before, and that was ridiculously warm as well. So I feel you on that one.
I know, it was warm, but...
I guess I just lucked out.
You did?
Yeah.
You did
I was sitting pretty there. It was nice, yeah.
You know, James. You. In any case, though, guys, this matchup will be a best of 5, and we will have that grand final best of 7. So it's going to be an intense matchup, but we'll worry about that one later on. Now, as far as this matchup is concerned, between France versus China and Uber, I guess let's just dive into this here. This team has faced a lot of challenges coming into this event, whether it be behind the scenes roster drama or whether it just be performance at contenders. This team, formerly known as Rogue, it just feels off.
I mean, it's tough for us, I guess, as people who followed their progress through Overwatch for so long, and many people at home also the same. We would have been a lot of fans of Rogue here. I can see even the signs out there. So people know their story. It's been a story of highs and lows, and some of the lows have been pretty darn crippling. This season, especially going to contenders, Rogue was supposed to be the top team. They were supposed to be indomitable as per usual, but they have struggled and they've had their challenges and they've been spread across the world sometimes trying to play from a lot of different locations. But the reality is that the rest of the world has caught up with them, especially their opponents, especially at this event. So they've had to dig very, very deep to even get themselves here. It wasn't that easy when they played the qualifier in Shanghai.
Yeah, and speaking of the Chinese team, you have a lot of familiarity with this roster. We'll talk about that in a second. But in relation to it, how do you feel France can perform against this Chinese team?
Thing is, I would have imagined that the Chinese team beforehand, the roster that we saw in Shanghai, would have really contested them. And I did want to see that matchup when we were actually there for the Shanghai qualifiers. But speaking to France, they've said that they haven't been able to really prep as much because they do have their other commitments, right, to the OWL teams, to their tryouts and everything as such. But yeah, speaking to them, they say they're comfortable and they're just going to play their own style, and that's what we really need to see out of most of these teams. They can't really try and shake anything up too much. Just play what you're comfortable at. That's where you're going to play the highest level.
To me, that indicates that there's not been a lot of practice being done. As simple as that. I mean, I put the French team on the spot because they said a very similar thing. We're just going to focus on the individual side and try and make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing. And I said to them, that means you haven't practiced much, doesn't it? And they said, yeah. They've had a lot of things to deal with lately, but this is why I think this matchup is so interesting, because you have two teams that are in transitional periods, one that's getting to invent themselves for the first time, and now a team that is trying to throw back to the halcyon years of French dominance and also try and bring themselves together for one last tilt of glory.
Couldn't agree more. There's a big story coming into this event and coming into this matchup, and that match is China versus France. Our third match of the day, which will be taking the stage. We dived deep into the woes and the successes that France has had. And Jamerson, now let's one more time, any player in particular on France that you are a little bit concerned about?
Concerned about? No, not really. This is a really
Okay.
great roster, right? Soon he's going to be an amazing tracer. We've seen it time and time again. AKM playing that double hit scan style with them. And also with Nico now switching over primarily as the Diva player, he should be fantastic because of the new DPS Diva.
I'm concerned about Nico and AKM. Whoever has to play the Diva in this team is still going to struggle. This has not been a team that has enjoyed playing Diva and has not known how to play around her or against her very well in the past.
That's right. This France team has a lot of issues, but so much talent, and we know that this talent will be shown here on the world stage as Team France makes their way to the stage. They seem to be in good spirits as they get ready for this matchup against an opponent that they're just unsure of at this point. They simply they don't really have a playbook here. And Uber, I guess I want to get your thoughts because you are familiar with this roster.
I've known these guys since the very beginning of Overwatch in Europe. The very first LAN I got to meet these guys, and they're very interesting. They're quite polarizing. Some of them are very quiet and reserved. Some of them are very loud and in your face, but they're all true professionals and incredible Overwatch players. AKM's considered the most consistent DPS player in the game for quite some time. Soon as well had his name in lights as an incredible tracer player. Unco as a flex support. These guys have star power in spades. It's how they bring it together, and it's how they show it here on the stage. One last event.
Now, Jamerson, I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because now we talk about the Chinese roster, and you have a ton of experience with all of these players in the region.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a really big switch up coming out, right? Before, when we were in Shanghai for the qualifiers, it was 4 members of LGD, which was considered at the time the best team in China. Since then, there have been some roster troubles, there are visa troubles also, that really had to force out a lot of these players to fill the holes that were left on the team. But we are bringing in some amazing firepower. Lead coming out from Miraculous Youngster. It's just amazing DPS. He's a jack of all trades, can pull out a McCree if he needs to, Tracer. He can go on to the Doomfist. I don't think we're going to see that, but more than likely, I think we're going to see a Genji coming out from him. But also, as we bring in Time now from OMG, he's going to be joining his teammate in Yao Yao. So I got to talk to them a lot over the course of the last few days, and it's been very enlightening how they're approaching this. You know, this is a team that just got cobbled together within the last week, and so they're going to be focusing very heavily on just individualistic performance and not really trying to scrim and get down to brass tacks there.
This is a squad that's certainly going to have a big, big challenge in front of them, having to gel together and adapt with one another with not a lot of time put as far as practice is concerned. This Chinese roster, though, is very capable, is very willing. And here they are as they make their way to the stage. Let's put our hands together here for the Chinese roster. Team China, lots of fans in here too, Uber. I didn't expect that.
I mean, yeah, not only their fan base has grown in a big way across the world, but relatively speaking, in my opinion, the Chinese region has improved almost more than any other as opposed to where they were at the beginning. I was over in China for the first APAC tournament. I was not impressed. This year, a different story. We've seen some incredible players and rosters rise up in the Chinese region. You know, Miraculous Youngster, Miracle Team 1, OMG, LGD, all these rosters now, and many of the players on this particular roster are from these teams, have really started to shine. People are starting to think, wait a minute, with the bamboo curtain now drawn back, it seems like even juggernauts like Korea could be challenged by this collection of players.
Jamerson, there's one player on this roster that I'm so excited for all these people to see play. It's Eileen, because this guy is awesome to watch.
If I remember correctly, during the Shanghai qualifiers, we saw a lot of Genji coming out from him, and it was very explosive play. When I got to be introduced to him during the OWPS, that's the Premier Series in China on LGD, we actually saw a different side to him. The Doomfist, a more, you know, a front-loaded, damage-heavy engager. And that's how I got to know him. That's how I got to love him. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to see that. But we saw the prevalence of Genji today throughout our first 2 matches already, and I'm expecting some more explosive Genji play coming out from him.
Yeah, or, you know, maybe we get a little Doomfist.
I wish. It's a bit unlucky now. Mercy's slippery as heck, and a little bit tough for Doomfist to find those targets, but we can hope.
Yeah, what a boy can dream. That being said, let's talk about keys to victory as well as predictions here. Uber, I guess we'll start with you. How do you basically what is going to be the thing that France needs to do to win here in this matchup, as well as China? How do you see this playing out?
France, they lean heavily on their history as a team, on their chemistry, their understanding of each other and how each other plays, because they have a long and storied history, and that's a heck of a lot of preparation coming into a match like this. They need to remember what it was that got them to where they were, and they need to channel that. And for China, it's a matter of trying to get them on tilt, put them against each other. Is obviously for many of the players, it's been a bumpy ride over the last few weeks.
And what about for you, Jamerson? I mean, do you agree with Huber's perspective on this here, that, you know, it's going to be a little challenging, really, on both sides, but what's your thoughts?
I mean, basically, you're putting together 6 players from 3 different teams here at this point, and you're not going to expect the same level of coordination. While, like Uber said, France, they're going to be weighing heavily, basically, with just their experience playing together for months and months on end, going through tournaments after tournament after tournament. So that is definitely what they're going to have to do. They just need to pick one player on the side of China, focus him down over and over again, and at that point, it all just starts to unravel.
Yeah, well, at this point, folks, it is the experienced squad versus the relative unknown. Both of these teams, though, with tons of talent. Every team that takes their seat on the world stage have displayed that. But let's go ahead and jump into the action, because I know all you guys want to get into it. It's France facing off against China. Let's go ahead and make some noise for this game and send it to your casters.
Hey guys, Dylan Monte Cristo here at BlizzCon for yet another 2017 Overwatch World Cup map, China versus France. I'm really excited about this one, man. These teams are coming into it 28-2 overall in the group stages. They've got history from last year, should be awesome.
Well, yeah, but the China team, of course, coming in with 4 new players. We don't really know what to expect from them yet. And for France, you know, this is an opportunity for them to go out in a blaze of glory. This is their Waterloo, as it were, their final shot. I think that ended up well for France, right? Remind me of history.
I'm fuzzy on my history, but it sounds pretty good. I think that took place in Nepal as well, just like our first map of this match. Isn't that amazing? What a coincidence.
Yeah, jokes aside, though, I do think that France should be able to fall back on their old established synergy, because at least the foundation was already built there. There are, of course, again, questions like we saw with Team UK. France did have a very specific dive style of play, and they didn't have a great amount of versatility. So are they going to be prepared for this meta, or are Eileen and China really going to show off on some of that intense mechanical skill that we saw from them in Shanghai?
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? It's coordination on the side of France versus individual playmaking on the side of China. Both teams counting on those 2 things to carry them through to the semifinals, and we are getting ready to get going here on Nepal. Check out China in the red, of course, France on the away team colors, and here we go on Sanctum. Leave starting things out on that Tracer, of course. We've seen quite a bit. Ooh, yeah. Wow, we have a Orisa on both sides, actually. Something we're seeing more and more on Sanctum here. I like it.
We are, but, well, soon actually going to take out Yao Yao immediately. So Rez already gone on the Chinese side. Leave trying to creep around to the flank.
Being very sneaky. Leave trying to get backline soon, a little bit low here. Nearly blinks off the edge. Got to be careful. Onto the point, though, early on. Leave getting a little bit of damage done, but not able to find those picks that I think he was hoping to find. Meanwhile, it's just kind of a standoff on that high ground like we usually see. Leave taken down by the Helix rocket for AKM. Pretty nice start for France. Let's see if they can keep it up. The snowball is growing here. The kills coming in, and the point being taken by France, an early lead.
And this is the same style of strategy that we've seen on Sanctum previously with heroes like Reinhardt and Zarya. It's about poking and breaking the shield on the high ground, but when you have that Junkrat Soldier combination, you're not running the Tracer, you're able to poke from a longer distance and get the effective damage. So France going to get the initial kills and going to capture the point as a result.
Yeah, that's right. Soon's got his Riptire ready to go, and he uses it to he actually uses the bomb to take out Eileen's Riptire. Great timing with that one. Here comes the ultimate for Soon now. Looking for targets, bouncing across. What's he gonna find? Nothing. Eileen manages to do the exact same thing. Take it out with that mine once again.
Both Riptires taken out by the mines, but the spam just continuing onto that high ground. France playing very far back on the point.
Oh, Yao brought back up immediately, of course. Meanwhile, AKM looking for targets with that tac visor, gets one. France pushing China back for the moment. Rez comes in on Yao, has to exit the fight, nearly taken down by AKM again. And meanwhile, China made an effort to flip it, but France holds strong for now.
And this is one of those times where you have to wonder, does Leave need to get on a different hero besides the Tracer? He's been zoned out of all of these engagements, hasn't been able to get particularly close to the players of France, and now France, feeling stronger, want to move up into this choke and try and use that halt to set up some Roadhog hooks.
Well, some real aggression coming in from China there. Yao coming deep, Nico on the side, waiting for those hook opportunities. Both Zenyatta's pop the Transcendence. China just trying to push their way into a position where they can try to take the point, but they're still in the corner. Oh, and Eileen dropped off the edge. Could he escape? No, didn't quite do it. Nico with the kill there, and France still coming out ahead in this fight. And they may just take this one 100% to 0 unless China can put something big together here.
Yeah, backing off with a Transcendence. AKM coming up on that tactical visor. Eileen needs to open up this fight with a mega Riptire if he wants to actually push in these last 8 seconds, and here it comes.
Riptire on the way. Waiting, Spider, Riptire. Does it ever? There we go. Oh, finding nobody that time, though. Eileen needs to make his way to the fight in a hurry. Yao already down, though. And France, again, getting the early edge in this conflict. AKM on that high ground. He's got that damage boost, of course. And France has just got the point covered, man. China's having a really hard time getting in, especially with the whole hog. That kind of makes it tough to get towards something.
And when that Riptire went down, yeah, very convincing from France.
Yeah.
When that Riptire went down, that was it, because it was already at 99%, so they had to contest the point 5v6, a man down because the Junkrat was in the back.
Yeah.
So if that Riptire wasn't picking up a couple of kills, there was really no chance for China to go ahead and push back onto the point unless some other player made an outstanding play. Didn't happen. France just backs off and holds strong, and they're going to take our first point on Nepal.
I mean, that kind of was what we were talking about leading into that in a T, right? Where France had that coordination, they had that great setup, they didn't break as a team, and China couldn't find those individual big plays to kind of get their way on the point.
But what's encouraging about France is that they were running an entirely different style of composition to what we had seen them be so successful with at their peak halfway through this year. And they looked coordinated, they looked calm and collected. A lot of these guys are veterans from many, many years from other esports titles, so they are used to playing on stage.
Very true. No nerves there. Meanwhile, AKM swapping over to that Pharah here as France gets things started against China on Village. And we saw what a problem Mangachu was on Team Canada for Australia with this pick, and I feel like there's a similar situation for China as nobody really seems to have an answer for this Pharah right now.
No, nobody does. Leave still sticking onto that Tracer, and Eileen on the Genji. It does make it easier to fight on the point itself, but if you're trying to cap it, trying to make your way towards the point, getting chunked out by those rockets really hurts. So it has to be a dash for China into the protective cover of the point, force that Pharah to float down if you want to use this composition.
That's the thing. You got to win some fight big, then take it. It's hard to retake with Pharah, so China doing what they can. John Fanjun having to be brought back right away by the Reds. Meanwhile, Eileen pulls out the Dragon Blade. This could be China's opportunity. He has to take a break. Oh, he manages to take out Nico before he remax. And that is the opportunity China was looking for. Can they take the point? They're building that control meter now, and it looks like they'll get it soon. Finally picked off at the very end. And China got what they wanted. Now the question is, how is France going to be able to retake this point? It can be tricky with that Pharah. You really want to be the ones defending with that.
Yeah, got to get that poke damage in at the very start of things and try and get an actual pick off so that you can then advance to the point on a 5v5 basis.
Here we go. Leave may wait out that sound barrier a little bit. Has that pulse bomb ready to go. France getting a couple kills here. Yeah, AKM getting a couple of the barrage before being taken down. Reds immediately as Unko goes into the Valkyrie ultimate. Eileen just desperately trying to do what he can, but he's outnumbered right now. He's going to have to make his exit.
His Valkyrie used by Unko, and that's wins. Wall riding to a boop to finish off Eileen. France goes ahead and takes the point. They will go ahead in percentage right now as well. They have a Primal Rage for Nox, but not very many tools to work with when it comes to ultimates. We need to watch Eileen. He's been fantastic so far in this Overwatch World Cup with those Dragon Blades.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of heroic plays in the group stage. AKM now has that defender's advantage again with the Pharah. Dropping down, forces the Transcendence out actually. from China. They're just going to use that to try to push right into the point. They've got the control meter 2/3 full. There's the Dragon Blade, looking for Slash, takes out Unko. Big start here for China. Eileen doing what he did all group stage. And that is going to be another team fight win for China, and it looks like they may be able to flip the point again right here.
And that's it. That's the big carry performance that they need from the DPS. We know how skilled individually these Chinese players are. If you look at the recent tournaments like APAC that have been happening in China, we've got two of the miraculous youngster players, a team that has gone toe-to-toe with some of the best Korean teams. So the level of talent on China is not in question. It's just about getting the teamwork together to match their individual play.
Right. And Eileen trying to hold here, see what he can do. AKM coming in big with a couple kills early on. China responding though, and Eileen not going to be able to finish off that Pharah this time. France just storming right back in again. We'll see if maybe Yao Yao can create some space with this Primal Rage, just trying to keep people off the point for now, but it doesn't look like he's having a ton of success just yet. Leaf somehow got AKM with a Pulse Bomb. That must have been interesting.
It was a barrage, so he hit him with it during the barrage with the Pulse Bomb in order to secure the kill. AKM was the only one with his ultimate up at the time, and China charging back. They fell down early on Village, but they are looking to finish things out now.
95%, 96 now in the control percentage. China nearly has round two. There's the overtime. France desperate to take it back, but they just don't have enough people nearby. China gonna equalize here on Nepal.
That's right, so we do go to a third and final point on our first potential control map of this series, depending on if we go all the way to game 5 or not. But China getting 100-0'd on Sanctum, but Village is a lot scrappier, a lot more angles you can come from, and they use their flanks better. And even though most of these players are different, China's success in Shanghai came from very aggressive play and coordinated engages and flanks based around Eileen. And that's what we saw on this point. And I think that's the play style that's probably going to suit them best.
You know, really this match is kind of like the Shanghai qualifier finals that we never got to see. Both of these teams getting to BlizzCon because of their performance in the Shanghai group stage.
Indeed it is, and Eileen will be rolling out the Junkrat this time. Soon will
no pun intended.
Rolling out the Junkrat. Soon we'll go with his signature tracer pick that we've come to know him for, and AKM mixes it up on the McCree. Can he contain Leave on the flanks? And Eileen.
Wow, early kill on Soon. That is a great pick for China to start things off as they try to take position here on Shrine. The winner of this round will win Nepal. Cam a little bit low there, needs to be careful. Eileen, not a lot of pressure on him. China has taken the proximity of the point anyway. Speaking of proximity, there's a proximity mine from Eileen. Just to grab a couple more kills for Team China. It looks like they're going to grab this one easy. Man, wins on the run. Get taken down in France. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board for this one.
Yeah, that initial kill onto Soon was so important because it forced an early res. And then this is the duel that happened after Soon was resurrected. And you see China immediately all ins on the 6 versus 5 after getting that pick, responding to the call to walk forward onto the point, knowing that there was no res on cooldown to use.
Comes Riptire again. Wow. This Riptire needs to get it out with Cirque du Soleil or something. Oh, he didn't make it. Nico takes him off the charge, which seems like a dangerous way to take out a Riptire, but it works for Nico. I'm not going to question him.
It's like jumping on a grenade, though.
I guess so, yeah. He just took one for the team there. All right. China getting a couple kills here as France tries to make their way onto the point right now. Leave with a lot of damage on a Nox. Nox very low on the point, can't stay up. That's a big problem for France. They need that Winston there. Jun not letting him live too much longer. And Leave, man, he doesn't even need to use his Pulse Bomb right now. Not a lot to worry as far as the pharmacy itself getting onto the point. So France gonna have to back off again, and China up to 70% already.
It's intriguing that we saw the switch from AKM onto Pharah. Certainly China doesn't have great tools to deal with the Pharah, but in the first push from France, AKM was the one who was shutting down Leave on that Tracer. He was effective. That was not the problem with their first attack, and now he's trying to get that free damage in and see if he can pick somebody off.
He's got the barrage too. Good positioning, could pave the way for France to take the point back. Needs to happen soon. Speaking of soon, Guanfang taken down. China without their mercy for just a little while here. Time manages to pop Nico out of the mech. So they've got a little bit to work with here. AKM with a nice pick there on to leave. France jumping onto the point. This is their moment. We're into overtime. They need to take it right now. AKM brought right back as soon as he goes down, but France needs to flip the point. They need to do it, and it looks like they have. Nepal not over quite yet.
And good for France on that flip, too. They didn't get trigger happy on their ults. They know they have to have a large ult bank to come back from the 99-0 deficit. So we don't see them overcommitting there. They're going to come back. They're going to have 5 ults available soon. So China looks like they're going to take some time to go ahead, try and force out as many. They can be patient, make several pushes, and come in with a big ult advantage eventually.
All right, Pulse Bomb not getting a lot for soon. China moves in here. AKM drops that barrage, getting one so far. A little bit more damage in there. Yao Yao goes down. Rez was already used by China onto Eileen, so they're going to be without their Winston. That's a big problem. I think France has bought themselves a bit more control percent here.
Yeah, they also lost
nice shot.
A few ultimates, though. AKM dealing with this Tracer, but he's going to fall to the self-destruct soon, manages to pick off time before he can remech. So
yeah,
we're not going to see China able to get back in with a man advantage anytime soon. Soon creeping around the side, looking for a flank. No pulse bomb, though, just a little bit of charge as he plinks away at the members of China.
It's so important right now that Unko stays alive no matter what. He's got that Valkyrie, he's got that great sustain from that ultimate to keep France alive, and as a near 65% now, they're gonna need to put that to use. Nox getting very low, down, there's the res right away. Valkyrie, I believe, does get popped. Yeah, Unko in that ult right now. After he brought Nox back up again. China's still storming into the point, though. There's the second ult now. AKM on his own a little bit. Discord orb on him. Needs to be careful. China certainly seeming to be coming out better in this fight at the moment. And this could be trouble for Team France. This barrage not getting quite enough. Back into OT now. Oh, it's so close. France trying to stay back on there, but I just don't think they're going to be able to get the people on the point to do it.
Nice pulse bomb onto the mini diva. That's going to prevent the remake, and this is it. They're going to try and get it one by one, but it's not going to be enough. China will go ahead and take the lead with Nepal.
And that was a pretty close map to start things off with. I mean, we saw France trying to do their thing, struggling a little bit. China, the ones coming in with the big plays in the end. But I gotta say, towards the end, we did see some pretty good coordination on the team side from China as well. In that third round, it really wasn't all about Eileen. It was about them coming in as a group and really maneuvering well.
And also them playing the ult economy, right? They came in and said, okay, we still are up 99-0. They forced a ton of ults from France on their next push, and they made some swaps. Switch Eileen over to the soldier, make sure he can deal with the Pharah, and just play that patient, slow style where you bleed your opponents dry of those ultimates, and it makes it very hard unless France has some sort of Tracer one clip or impressive play to come back.
Sure enough, food for thought. We're going to take a quick break, guys, but we'll be back with more China versus France action here in just a moment.
BlizzCon 2017 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back, guys, to the Overwatch World Cup here in 2017. Doe and Monte Cristo bringing you China versus France, and China up one game after a very close Nepal.
Yeah, it was very close, Doa, but considering that this Chinese team has had such a limited amount of time to gel, the control maps are probably going to be the best for them.
Right.
And as we've seen from Rogue, or this Team France lineup in the past, they have played very solid Numbani. This was one of their best maps coming into contenders this season, and they're going to go ahead and select it here. And this is where I think they can truly fall back on all of their old skills. They've been great on Numbani, they've been great on Volskaya, and this is where they know all of the tricks on these maps. They know how they like to play them, and when you have time to craft the strategies, or at least more time than you have on control maps,
sure,
I think this really tilts in France's favor.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at what map type do teams that rely on individual player skill excel on, your answer is going to be control. Guess what? That's the map that China just won. Now we're moving on to map types like Numbani, like those hybrid maps that require a little bit more team coordination. And when we talked to China earlier this week, they said that they felt that they hadn't found their style. They didn't really know how they wanted to play as a team, and they were just going to have to default back to whatever people could do individually. So
but
we'll see
it
how
worked at least in map one.
It worked then, but it worked on the map type it's supposed to work on. So we'll see. France on the attack here as we get things started on Numbani. China, of course, on the defense. Defending pretty far up, actually. Oh my gosh, Soon taken out instantly by Eileen. That damage boost, man.
Nothing like running into a few pieces of sharp metal, right, Doa, right off the bat, out of the gates?
I have not had that experience personally, but it does not look fun. It's not something I'm interested in trying out.
I don't think you can do it more than once, so you're not respawning, Doa.
You don't get a lot of retries, no. No mercy in real life. Yet.
That's right, Overwatch is in the future.
That's right, yeah, we got a little bit of time. France taking a little bit of time to get on the payload, jumping onto that high ground. Talked about that France dive. This is it, man. This is pretty much the comp that they popularized with that Soldier 76 and a lot of dive. Getting forced back, though. Wow. China coming through. I don't think they were expecting that Anna, actually, from Zhufan Jun. That's interesting to see.
Yeah, it is a classic, of course, for the defense on Numbani A. But really the problem there was it looked like there was a communication issue. Nox jumped into the top hallway to push the supports out way too early, and Nico was late to follow him, so he didn't have a lot of protection, and China reacted instantly to pick him off.
All right, Nico trying to get in the back line a little bit. You can do a lot more damage on that Diva now that she's got those missiles. Unko gets a res on AKM and Nox, had to pop that Valkyrie. Meanwhile, Eileen brought back again as China continues their defense. See if they can keep it up, though. No control percent just yet. Now France just getting that first tick. That's progress, man. They're getting some of it. Nico catches Zhufan Jun with that self-destruct, and it looks like this might be France's opportunity here. They've got to take out time, though. Nox with that primal rage, though, knocks away the ulting leave, makes him. I'm not gonna
Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
No, I'm not gonna. You know I am that guy, but I'm not gonna be that guy at that particular moment.
I'm banning you from leave. Time, and soon jokes.
You should have established that earlier, man. You don't know my large library of Yonfang jokes, though.
Okay, great. I look forward to those.
Me too. Well, France gets the payload moving.
Yeah, that attack we saw, at least Nico was able to zone them out very effectively with the self-destruct and create some space for them to chase down Eileen. So.
All right, AKM trying to push a little bit farther forward with that attack visor. Doesn't work out too much. Does get brought back immediately, but the ult is stopped, of course. Death kind of stops ultimates. That's generally what happens. That payload, though, however, is not stopped. France still grinding their way forward through the streets phase here on Numbani.
AKM with that
nice rocket.
That Helix rocket accuracy. He is known for being one of, if not the best player in the world when it comes to Helix accuracy. And you see it, it's his signature hero in this game. And time again, he puts on that clinic.
AKM made leave. Get out of there.
No.
Really fast. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
You were bad,
so tough. All right, Nico getting two with the self-destruct. Wow, both supports down from the Diva ultimate on the side of France, and that's going to be an easy take here in streets. France just rolling China right now.
They are just quickly pushing through every phase of this map. Taking a look back, we will. I mean, we're not going to see. Oh, there we go. The self.
We're in the Matrix now.
Some nice frozen time there.
There you go. Hey, no time jokes, all right?
Oh,
You're breaking your own rule.
I did.
France moving that payload one more turn until they claim their third point here on Nimbani, and China needs to put something together in a hurry here. Eileen, though, pulling out the nano blade. This may be what they need. Oh, yes. Eileen getting a couple crucial kills. Nice reflect at the end there. Is it going to be enough, though? It stopped the payload for the moment, but they've got a lot of time to keep holding if they want to stop France from getting this third point.
Even picks up Nox at the end. It takes the jump damage, and he gets down to about 30 HP before the dash comes back up for him to use. So China going to switch off the Ana now over to the Zenyatta for this final point. You can be pretty safe on that. Firing away from the back, and I think Nanoblade may be a little bit of an overcommitment. They don't have to use quite so many ultimates if they want to defend this point. Instead, stagger them out a little bit more and just try and hold on the card.
You get that great benefit too when you're running Zenyatta Mercy of the Discord Orb plus the damage boost from Mercy. You can take out people really fast with the support duo. Generally, that's why you see the Zenyatta not the Ana so much. AKM taken down by the self-destruct, though. Unko brings him back to the fight for the moment, and France pushing that payload. Wow, Nox now on the Orisa. China having to fall back here. This defense is just in shambles, and I gotta say, man, France is just kind of making this look easy right now. Well, you know, as soon as I say that, then Eileen pulls out the Dragon Blade. Yeah, it's when the Dragon Blade comes out. It's the exact same thing that happens in my ranked games. I think everything's going easy, and then the Dragon Blade comes on the other side. I should have known.
And you're just a poor support player.
I should have known, that's right. There's not much Zenyatta can do in that case. But Moira, maybe I have a chance.
You have a chance now.
We'll see.
AKM going to make a change. Wants to be on the McCree, maybe shut down Eileen with a bit of a flashbang, punish some of the engagement that we're seeing in the commitment. And this is a slow push composition from France. With the Orisa, they want to just walk up onto the cart and control space in front of them, but that's not going to happen as Nox will be the first to fall.
Yeah, brought back up immediately though. Not done quite yet, kills on both sides. Jafan Jun trying to keep people up with that Transcendence as China manages to force France off the payload a little bit more. And time, okay, back in the mech once again. France has 2 minutes left on the clock, but that's half the time already burnt by China. This defense is actually starting to get pretty solid.
But they came into point C with over 4 minutes.
I know.
On this attack. So China already has drained so much off the clock for what was a very fast push.
Yeah, it's turning out pretty well. Now Wynn's taken down, kind of out of sync of the rest of the team. That's going to delay France even more. Buys China another 8-10 seconds or so in terms of getting that push for France set up again.
But they're the ones coming in with the ult bank, Doa. This is their time. Yes, we have a minute and a half left, but this is probably France's best opportunity to make a play.
Yep.
And they zone out with Deadeye. They also have the Orisa ultimate to boost some of this damage. And that's AKM with the double tap.
That's right, 2 to the head. There's the Deadeye right now trying to pick up Eileen as he comes back up again. And avoid that reflect. Okay, had to wait, so they didn't get it. But here comes the Bongo Man. Supercharger down for France, and they're going to use it to try to win this last fight and then start handling those respawns. Working so far, soon takes down Yao Yao with the pulse bomb. AKM, nice flick headshot onto Eileen. The battle of Cowboys versus Ninjas today. The Cowboys are all aces. And that is it. Wow, France just pushes it in. Are you kidding me?
China waited a hair too long.
Guess so.
To get onto the cart at the end of that. They had people alive. They were trying to make the best push they could without sacrificing someone, and they just end up a split second too short. But AKM showing off his accuracy at the end of that map.
Well, as soon as he swapped over to that McCree, things changed quite a bit for France. I mean, those headshots, the way he was able to take down Eileen, pin him down with the Deadeye, he really marginalized what China could do with their best DPS, and that worked out really well.
Just from a mechanical perspective, though, watching AKM is such a treat.
Well, we know this guy's good, man. He's one of the best DPSers out there, and certainly putting that on a show for us today. So, France setting a decently high bar, 3 points, a little under a minute remaining in the time bank.
Well, they did complete the map, and this is also a map that does see a fair number of full holds. So France will have an opportunity to make an attempt in that regard, and it looks like early on they're going to go for AKM on the Soldier and try a pretty typical high ground defense, except they will be using the Zenyatta instead of the Ana.
Okay. Pretty standard for what we see these days. And there's another quick replay. Oh,
of Eileen going into the pit.
Hey,
goodbye.
Bye. See ya. Oh,
he
one
tried.
more. Oh, yeah, it was close.
He tried to get back
I
up.
respect the effort, you know? Way to go. Way to almost go, Eileen. He tries hard. That's right. Well, it's time to go into our next round here on Nimbani. China getting their chance to attack, see if they can get that payload all the way to the end, like France did. And that's a pretty high accuracy for AKM, 60% of his shots finding their mark.
I think that's quite impressive. Didn't have a lot of playtime on McCree just at the end of the map, but all the same. So, Xufan Jun going to be playing the Ana on attack this time.
You know, I think they just know they really need Eileen to come up big with those Dragon Blades, and when you add the nano boost to that, it gives you even more opportunities for it, so can't really blame them. Leave falling early, not bringing them up quick, so China just buying their time for the moment. And you know, if their plan is to just put the nano boost on Eileen when he gets Dragon Blade, then you can see why they're, you know, waiting to really attack.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure I like a lot of this about the China attack here, because they tried to throw the biotic grenade onto the high ground to facilitate a dive, but France is pushing them way back from that corner. Finally, they're going to make their way over, but it's going to be at the cost of Yao Yao.
Yeah. Well, Yao Yao does come back up again. Both Winstons dying and having to be rezzed again, but France does drop back down onto the point, push China back. Just not working out quite yet, but again, like we said, it all comes down to that nano blade that they're going to have a little bit later. Nice sleep chart from Xufan Jun there.
And time gets his back, but AKM gets another stagger kill with the Helix rocket at the end. So Leave is really has been on his own on the flank this entire time, and it hasn't proven effective. He's losing a lot of these duels, and that's leaving China with an inability to push forward onto the high ground.
Here we go, though. Okay, France pretty much has 6 ultimates, so China's waited. They've got that combo they were looking for, but now they have to deal with France having a full stack of ults. It's not going to be easy as they go in right now. Self-destruct, toss in the hallway to push France back for the moment. China able to take a little bit of position on the point. And there's a nano blade. This is the time he needs to make this work, but there's a transcendence. France was saving it. Wins was so ready for that, and Eileen forced back. Those 2 ults did nothing. And France, so far so good here in the defense. Yao Yao though, China coming up with some kills. They're gonna bring it right back again. And Eileen just doing a bit of damage as his teammates pick up the slack.
But the rest of France is still flooding into this point. Remember, Nimbani has a spawn advantage for the defenders, but it's just not going to be enough. China able to quickly focus down the remaining players.
Man, it looked like it was such a good start for France, but I mean, you keep in mind that Transcendence was used to protect the supports, and then it wasn't there to protect the rest of the team. So despite thwarting that initial attack, they weren't able to win the fight overall.
This is one of those things where China didn't get a lot of value out of those ultimates, but considering everybody had a full stack, they were able to find some picks and push through. But it takes a long time to push in that way.
Yeah. Ooh, wow.
That looks pretty.
Winning that duel. Oh, but taken out by Mercy. Oh, yeah, some bloodthirsty support action. I like it.
It takes a long time to actually push, and if you fail on one of those pushes, it resets absolutely everything. So China playing a pretty high-risk style with this composition right now.
Yeah. Well, trying to get that payload going. Eileen with the Dragon Blade. There's a kill onto Wins. Could find more with it this time around. Can't quite reach Mercy, but that's okay, because time is going to take him down anyway. And this payload should get a little bit of distance soon, you'd think, as Nox falls. That should be what it takes. Yeah, China gets that payload moving.
Here's the swaps right now. France wants AKM back on the far. Eileen now moved over to the Soldier 76 as a response, but there's AKM. They see the swap, immediately go for the McCree instead. So the mind games and team compositions, trying to make sure that each team will have an advantage. And we saw this in our last map of Canada versus Australia. High-level Overwatch requires these kind of quick swaps and intel.
Eileen went down. I mean, the thing is, it's not good because you need to make up some time in this phase, right? This is the point where if you have a slow point A, you need to get a fast point B to get set up for that grind on point C.
Yeah, this needs to go fast for China, and for the moment it is. They're getting the necessary kills. France is delaying a little bit. Wins with a late sound barrier.
Yeah. See if they can make anything out of it here. Unko does manage to bring back Nox, but it's not because of the sound barrier. You know, China just falls back and just lets the shield run out, comes back in. Leave gets that kill onto Nox, and that payload should be moving now for a bit.
Well, France got some zoning there. Yao Yao killed by the Deadeye. And France, they have an opportunity here. You can just throw one player onto the cart at a time. Because there's only 1 minute and 45 left. And you're not thinking you're going to stop them here. You're not thinking that you're going to win before point B, but you are just draining the clock as much as you can.
This is great for France. I mean, yeah, China does take point B, but like you said, you know, they bought a lot of time doing it. China had to take a little bit longer than usual to push through that streets phase, and now they only begin with about 3 minutes to take point C.
And the downside of that, though, is if you use all these ultimates, then and you're going in one at a time, like we saw, that you're ending up giving your opponents a lot of ult charge. So there is a price to be paid.
Well, China does have the ult advantage for the moment anyway. There's a Transcendence. Yufan Jun had to use it to stay alive. Self-destruct on the side of China as well, but soon back there, stalling the cart on his own as the battle rages elsewhere. That cart is not moving.
And Nox had the great timing on the Primal Rage, actually nullified Eileen's tactical visor almost entirely. Soon in the back, chasing some supports, but he will get found.
Oh, Unko tried to go for the res, I think there, flew in there. They couldn't stop the payload in the end, but they did buy a lot of time, a full minute pretty much taken off, but the payload's moving now. Eileen with a late kill on to win, so France gonna have to be without their support for a little while.
But China, they don't have much to use, Doa, and they're not going to finish the match on this push. France is going to come in with a whole wealth of ultimates soon, especially those crucial support ults, and Unko will use the Valkyrie immediately.
Yeah, that's right. He had to bring wins up again. AKM gets the kill on to leave here. France looking for more. AKM, there's one with the Deadeye. Yunfang taken down by AKM yet again. The flashbang doesn't connect, and Leave uses that opportunity to take out AKM. Eileen, meanwhile, in the background, and here's an opportunity for China. Maybe they can push forward, but man, the spawns are so close for the defenders here, and that slowly France just grinds out a defensive hold for the moment.
And Wins is going to walk back in with the Transcendence too. So still 1:20 though. China has a couple of good pushes left, and they were successful enough on that last attack that they were able to build up some ultimates yet again. It actually went pretty badly for France, and what could have been a lot more decisive on the defense for them. We're going to see a flank here. Attempted tactical visor.
Gotta watch out.
Oh, that's a huge kill.
Yeah, no kidding. Yunfang taken down by Nico. That's going to slow things down quite a bit for France, and they've got less than a minute to try to finish this map and equalize France. Eileen pushed away. Nox coming in for the kill, and France seemingly wanting to put the period on the end of this sentence.
That was such a good self-destruct by Nico. The fact that they killed Yunfang again, Wins. This is a disaster for China at the end of this map.
You can't lose your mercy like that, man.
They had a couple good pushes, and now they've got maybe one left.
Yep, 25 seconds. 4 ults available for China, nearly 5 as Yao Yao has that Primal Rage coming up soon. France has a couple of their own to use as well. Wins has that Transcendence. Crucial support ultimates for France as Yao Yao dives deep, goes after AKM right away. Both supports pop their ultimates, keeping the DPS alive. AKM already with a Deadeye kill on to leave, but China striking back. Yao Yao trying to disrupt everybody here on France right now. Gets wins courtesy of Leave. Yao Yao back on the point right now, but remember, France has those respawns as we go into overtime. China, they need to win a really decisive battle here, and soon finally goes down courtesy of Leave. Maybe with this self-destruct, France can, or China rather, can create a little bit of space. See if it works out. It's going to be close.
Down, but he's going to be able to walk back up with the Deadeye. Can they get anybody on their cart, though? This may be the opportunity that China needs.
This could be it. They're rolling in. Can they do it soon? Gets there just in time, but no, China finishes. But they had to do it in overtime. France still with a big edge here in this one.
They have another 53 seconds. To attempt to attack point A. It's not a lot more time, but it could be the big difference. And here's the replay for the both support kills we saw on the Team France attack earlier.
Man, that feels good, you know? You've got that Diva ultimate, you get both supports. It's a good feeling.
That was almost disaster though for China, though. That got me really nervous at the end.
Yeah, they really kind of pulled it out of the fire at the very end there, and a lot of that was just picking off Unko at just a crucial time.
Yeah, Yunfang dying twice was an absolute disaster. And one of those was a good play by Nico, and the other one was a peek, and Wins managed to hit him with a right click from that Zenyatta. So really, really dicey, though. They barely had enough time to get those very important ults that they had spent like a minute working up to off. And we're going to see if they can mirror some of that magic again on this attack.
Yeah, we'll see. China on the attack once more, because they are starting things off in our time bank mode with a little bit less time on the clock. 1 minute to the 1 minute and 53 seconds of France. And I know that sign says relax and unwind, but that is the opposite of what I can do right now, Monte Cristo, because this thing is close.
And China looks like we're going to see them use the Ana again. Maybe they can get a cleaner dive onto the high ground following up on that biotic grenade, but you'd have to think that France is just going to push out like they did last time, and they won't give the opportunity.
Right. It definitely took a lot longer than a minute for China to make this work in their first attack. Needs to be quite a bit cleaner this time around.
So they want to go after the supports.
Here we go, diving in right now. That hallway is where they want to be. Eileen chasing, Nox takes out Yao Yao right away. That Winston getting a bit isolated, and that's a rough start for China. They managed to equalize Tracer to Tracer. Eileen still harassing on that high ground, but he needs to take a bit of a break. Coming back in now, getting one.
He got AKM somehow.
That's right, but the Reds came in, and Eileen taken down as that Dragon Blade pops up. So France will hold. 15 seconds left for China. I don't even know if they can get anyone back to the point in time. Lee needs to stay alive. He's the one who needs to force this into overtime. There's the stick. He got the stick onto Unko. Nobody bringing that Mercy back. Here's the opportunity. Yao Yao does die, though, and Lee has to jump onto the point. Overtime ticking away, and I don't think anyone can get there. No, Eileen comes in with the Dragon Blade, but he's only on his own, and France should be able to hold here. Yonfang can't get there as the Mercy, and now a great opportunity for France.
I'm really surprised China ran the Ana again. When you have the Genji and the Ana, you are relying on that big nano blade play if you can't get the grenade onto the high ground and back up the dive and provide those anti-heals, right?
Right.
So when you know that that's something that's going to take some time to build up, it seems like a really, really risky play when you only have a minute and time bank to go for. Instead of, say, playing a Zenyatta, where at least the Orb of Discord could lead to a quick pick or something like that. So I'm not sure that I agree with China's strategy, and they're not even going to get a tick on this point. So France will come back with nearly 2 minutes and a chance to equalize this series.
Yeah, and it wasn't tough at all for France to hold out that last attack. I mean, we saw almost the same exact thing happen on that first dive, right? Where Yao Yao went in seemingly a little bit early. Maybe, again, a little bit of miscommunication on the side of China. Losing that Winston hurts. And again, I can't. Stop showing me that. I can't relax and unwind. I don't care how legendary the organic oil is, man.
Yeah, you need some robot hype juice right now.
That's right. Robot Hype Juice was the name of my punk band in high school, believe it or not. Yeah.
It was a punk band, really?
Yeah, well,
it sounds like it was your like DJ name or something like that.
That's right, DJ Robot Punk Juice. No, see,
Hype
it doesn't
juice.
work. Robot Hype Juice. I don't know, I'm just confused.
You got the punk juice, man. What can I say?
Punk Juice. Yeah. Oh, Eileen spotted them. That's good.
So France wanting to come in with a poke style of composition here. They want to power up AKM and try and find an Orb of Discord target for him to eliminate quite quickly.
Right. Oh, Eileen, about half the health taken off of him. France already building up. Remember, they only need that first tick to take this map and tie the series. Nico takes down Yao Yao, brought back. That's it. What?
Soon.
Are you kidding me? Soon.
Caps.
I know who the real ninja is, and yeah. The Chinese fans a little bit stunned, as we are, about that one. Soon just snuck right in there and won the game. All right, well, good job, Soon.
China got baited into that. So when you play that soldier, you know they're not going to attack that high ground, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to try and rotate onto the point and poke you. And you don't have, you're trying to shoot them from above, but you have to actually contest that. So China said, okay, we have to go onto all of them and try and attack them straight on, but you got to pay attention to that Tracer too.
No kidding, man. So we are all tied up right now. I was kind of wondering there, because they got about halfway to that first tick right in that initial little jump onto the point. Then China goes really aggressive. I'm like, well, wait a second. And sure enough, Soon is crouching behind the payload.
And I love Yao Yao's very aggressive Winston play, but this is one of those times where that can really backfire.
Sure did. Well, A little bit for China to think about as we head into a break. Guys, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll see who breaks the tie here in China versus France at the 2017 Overwatch World Cup.
If you're a fan of multi-kills, Eileen is definitely the player to watch.
Eileen just dashing his way through, comes up with yet another kill, and now has another Dragon Blade ready to go here.
The 2 DPS on the side of China is just, they're stellar, and that's what everyone is putting all of their eggs in that basket.
Eileen's Genji was just unstoppable. There were certain moments there where I felt like this was just a highlight reel of him.
Yes, the follow-up is just Eileen killing everybody. Come on, Eileen!
Eileen might have had one of the best individual performances we might see throughout the rest of this weekend. That's how good I think he just played on that Genji.
他的一个发挥，不管是在哪个队伍，都是非常稳定的，这也是我们最后敲定他的一个原因。线上你就感觉他很厉害，线下你就感觉他很可爱，就想抱一抱他，就是这种感觉。
On that Genji, on the DPS role, he always knows who to jump on.
Look at his accuracy here.
He had Dragon Blade within the first 20 seconds of that map. It's incredible to watch.
The point wasn't even like available to capture. This kid is just absolutely incredible.
Eileen, champion of the universe.
Really, it has just been the Eileen show.
You know, what more appropriate way to end it than a play of the game from Eileen? This guy's Genji play is just out of this world.
China, they were absolutely untouchable. Players like Eileen played a big part in that.
It might just happen right here, right now. Carlos goes down. The team wipe comes through, and that's going to be it. China have punched their ticket to BlizzCon.
BlizzCon 2017 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back to the halftime for China versus France as the series is all tied up 1-1. We are now joined by the French committee member and just basically Mr. French Overwatch over here. Alpha, how you doing, buddy?
Very good, very good. I'm kind of reassured after seeing what my boys did just there. So yeah,
you were a little worried in game one.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're used to that. It's the slow start, the usual slow starts. They're showmen, you know. They always try to make it look like they're gonna lose and then win. I hope.
Uber, you're
I lost. I bought a lot of lunches during contenders watching Rogue play because I bet every time, everyone, that they would win. And yeah, that didn't happen this time around. So let's hope it's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, this is a team, though, that we know that the talent's there. They just have to be able to ramp up. We've seen this happen in the past, and they sometimes have struggled, you know, in those moments. But they're starting to show some life here, James. So
they definitely are, yeah.
I want to get your thoughts here on the French roster. Anything in particular that's been catching your eye? I
mean, it's great to see AKM once again on that McCree. We saw it time and again hitting those flash pings onto Leave on Numbani, getting the follow-up headshot, and just taking over the game. Unfortunately, just wasn't enough for them. But once he got back onto that Soldier 76, it was fantastic.
Yeah, again, AKM, man, this guy has always performed at the highest. I've been casting this dude for such a long time now. So a lot of familiarity with him here. But let's shift gears over to the Chinese side. James, I know that you have a highlight for us about Leave, because they have had some pretty big plays so far.
Yeah, it's not just a general highlight or individual highlight of Leave. I was really impressed by seeing some of the shot calling that was coming out. You can tell that there is a level of coordination as we go into this highlight. It's going to be from Nepal, and we're on Shrine here. We do see at this point, it is China in the red and France on the white. Unko goes in for GA, and instantly Yao Yao jumps in with that Winston to try and focus her down, but it's Leave now on the back line who's just getting so much damage off, while Eileen is able to just shell away with that Junkrat. It's great to see how quickly they're able to pounce on these targets.
Yeah, they were able to really synergize on Nepal, but Numbani Uber is a map that this team, Team France, formerly known as Rogue, very familiar with. And in fact, this was a map in contenders that if you went to Numbani against Rogue, chances are you were going to lose.
Yeah, this was a map that was definitely one of the crown jewels for this France roster, because their dive was so good. It was what they did. It's what they played to. They played the game in such a way where a lot of their DPS players, at their own volition, use their ultimates. It was all about keeping the enemy off balance. It was all about pressuring them constantly. It was all about getting those DPS ults coming out as much as they possibly could. We had a little bit of a different side to this French roster we saw this time around. Even saw Wins dabble a little bit in the Zenyatta, which he actually did quite a good job for something that we don't see much of him on at all. A little bit questionable towards the end on the defense on that last hole. We saw some classic Rogue things where we saw some support ultimates overlaid. I think an entire Transcendence was committed to keeping AKM alive during a Deadeye, but also Valkyrie at the same time. So both the supports are plugged into this McCree, while the dive core and the aggressive part of that Rogue team was not present there to receive any of that healing, and ultimately they actually allowed the Chinese to finish the map. That probably shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but luckily for them though, they were able to answer back so quickly. Well, I would say soon. Just got a nice little back cap, cheeky back cap to win that one out. What does Alpha, and I will bring you in for this, what does France look to do now moving forward? You know these guys very well. You've worked with them so much up to this point. Tell me about the mindset of this French roster as they get ready for Game 3.
I mean, it's their last stand as this team of Rogue, because now they're all going their separate ways. So they're really trying to show what they can do in this final exhibition. So basically, they're trying their best, and they're trying to show that they can shine one last time as a team. So it's very important emotionally for them, because it's kind of the closure of a pretty crazy adventure for them.
Yeah, this isn't like necessarily on the rundown or anything, but I did want to let you shout out the French audience, because I know we have thousands of people watching on Overwatch FR on Twitch right now. So if you just wanted to give a special shout out to those guys. Yeah, in French, by all means.
Merci à tous de suivre le stream et avec le 6. Voilà, faites exploser le hashtag avec le 6.
Awesome. Nice. Awesome. Good stuff. I love it, right? Like, shout out to the French Overwatch community. These guys are awesome. They're so passionate. But you know what I'm passionate about, James?
I don't.
I have a hunch. No. T-Mobile. I'm passionate about T-Mobile. That's right. And we're going to talk about the MVP one more time. It's very easy. All you have to do is go on the Twitch chat and make sure you use exclamation mark T-Mobile MVP, battle tag of the player on Twitter. Same thing there as well. Hashtag T-Mobile MVP, battle tag of the player, and just put your vote out there. Maybe get a couple of those French players out there as well, right? That's the hope, that's the dream. But we did get an opportunity, though, to catch up with the French team and get their reactions coming in to BlizzCon 2017 here at the Overwatch World Cup. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Is that the end of the
They know how to handle the pressure. They have years and years of competitive FPS behind them. And since they are all good friends and they have a good synergy, I think that's why they perform super well.
It's all about experience really, and not panic. We've been playing for quite a long time now. I don't get panic ever, like I'm used to it, and my teammates are the same. We know what to do and we're gonna focus on that.
Having unity is essential to competitive Overwatch. You need to move as one and think as one.
Right on the AKM. He's pushing his way into the pulse bomb. Is there, takes him down, and a double kill. See if they can get this contest. Just needs to hit that second tick, and they have it. There you go.
They are filled with an all-star cast. We've seen all their names before. These are players that, we expect to do well, that we expect to perform very well.
I think we want to be unpredictable. We want to have new strategies.
We just adapt every time. If someone plays this composition, we adapt every time.
Back underneath, so sneaking in, and those are 2 kills already, Noah.
Oh boy. 1-0 for France.
You have to focus entirely on that. Like think Overwatch, eat Overwatch, do everything you do Overwatch.
We just focus on what we're supposed to do instead of thinking about anything else.
BlizzCon 2017 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
And welcome back, guys, to the 2017 Overwatch World Cup. I'm Doa. With me is Monte Cristo, as always, and France versus China tied 1-1 as we move into our next map. It's not going to be Nepal. It's going to be Hanamura, actually.
It's definitely not Nepal.
No, we're moving on to our assault map. Should be cool, man. This has been such a close match so far, man. France bringing it back on Nimbani, winning it sneaky soon at the end. They're hiding behind the payload, getting that win.
It was a really, I mean, people will say like, oh, you know, what was China doing? But it was actually a really clever bait, honestly. And it seemed like a well set up attack and a well set up plan by Team France. So I do think that it is wise, at least from the side of China, that they have a map selection not to pick Volskaya against France, and instead try and deal with them on an assault map where they are not quite as accomplished.
That's right. Well, as we see this map going now, I'm curious what we're going to see out of these two teams, because
let me tell you, Nox is playing Orisa on defense.
All right, fine. I wanted to be a little bit more surreptitious about it. That means mysterious, Monte Cristo, and you just ruined it. All right, Nox is on the Orisa, as we're going to see in just a moment. Obviously, we've seen a lot more Orisa in there. I was actually a little bit surprised that we saw the Roadhog earlier from France, because when we talked to them earlier in the week, they said they thought he was still too much of an ult battery. They didn't want to use him that much, but saw him a bit before. Maybe a bit this map. I really like him on point too, but for now, it's going to be the Orisa on defense. Leave on that Widowmaker for China as they get ready with their attack.
And this is a hero that he likes to play and typically does well on. So back in APAC, we've seen quite a bit of this. So can he pull off some of these impressive headshots? Gets chased out of the gateway.
That is super bold to drop down like that, but when you've got the defensive matrix covering you, you can be a bit bold.
You be incredibly bold, in fact.
That's right.
Hulk just going to pull some people into the line of fire in the doorway. France just hiding around the corner, and that'll force the first resurrect of this match to come out.
Yeah, Yunfeng having to bring Eileen back up again. Leave looking for those picks. If he could get the Mercy, he would be so happy, man. That would just be the go button for China to storm into point A here on Hanamura.
And Leaf's not really going to get a lot of good angles either. As we can see, everybody on Team France just hiding around the right side as we take a look at the top-down map, and soon he's just waiting to get some poke in case anybody walks past the threshold of the doorway.
You notice too that France isn't really putting them in a position where they're going to get rocked by those grenades from Eileen either. Not a lot of small corridors. Eileen, they're finally just going to charge in, but France says, all right, well, they're just going to kill everybody.
And they're trying to move in quickly. They realize that this poking battle was not going to end up in their favor. So China needs to make an alteration. Leave has to go onto the tracers. Now they're going to have some more options. Leave can zip in, try and duel soon, and then take over the flank for himself if he can actually win the duel.
Eileen back on that Genji once more. So just going back to what they know they do well on, and now charging in with a bit more confidence here. We'll see what they can do. Transcendence popped so far. Wins really close to it on the France side. They're going to need it. Leave on the payload. AKM, though, taking out people on China, but China able to get a little bit on the payload, on the control point right now.
Yeah, not enough to actually get a full tick yet. And there's the Transcendence. Wins works his way back up, and this should be the recapture. Yanfang, though, trying to pick up lead during that Valkyrie time. Throws it out, and he actually gets two with that self-destruct.
That was a great angle for Time to throw out that self-destruct, man. Really caught France unawares, unexpecting. And as Nox falls here, that's just going to be most likely a point A take for France, unless Unko has some special tricks up his sleeve. Nope, not really. His trick is to disappear and reappear at the next spot.
It was a clever hold from Time on that Diva ultimate, just waiting for them to commit to this fight. Nowhere really for them to hide. It looks like couldn't quite get the angle behind those pillars right to avoid the damage. And now China with 5 minutes to move through point B, but they had to use a lot of resources. Waiting for Eileen right now to have that Dragon Blade. They can couple it on the point itself with the Transcendence.
I think if McCree didn't have quite such a wide stance, he might have been able to survive that self-destruct. that was his own fault.
Yeah, you can't always walk like you've been riding a horse for a week, right?
I was gonna say, too much time in the saddle there. Comes back to haunt you, I guess, on McCree. Well, China biding their time as they get ready for their first real attack here on point B.
Jufan Jun was taken out early. Nico managed to find him as he was attempting to join the rest of his team. So it did at least delay the Transcendence Dragon Blade that's going to be coming right here.
Yep, Eileen coming in. Like we said, he's got that Dragon Blade. They use that Trans. Oh, and he may have found a few members of France a little bit on their own. Manages to scatter the team. There's the kill on Nico as he pops out of the mech. France coming back with a couple kills and the defender's advantage, but a pretty decent start to this fight for China. Can they actually get any time on the control meter, though? Not so far.
Just a hair, Doa.
Yeah,
and here's where the trickling back onto the point begins. How fast can they focus people down? Well, that's not going to help, but double resurrection with the Valkyrie.
So they had to use the Valkyrie to hold the point, and actually Wins is going to come out with the Transcendence as well, just to make sure that they can take it. They're down those defense ultimates now. And China, though, is down pretty much their whole team, so that's going to be a reset. And I think we're in for a little bit longer round. It's going to take a while for China to build up enough ultimates to really make a big push again.
That was very close, but France played it outright when it came to just making sure that no percentage virtually from China was going to be able to go over, but just one person at a time, waiting for that Valkyrie to come up and then using the double res to get enough members to claw their way back onto a foothold. And now, as you say, we're probably looking at a much longer attempt here from Team China.
Yeah, it's going to take some time. They've got a couple ultimates. I mean, maybe between Eileen and Leave, you can get some pretty huge picks and then snowball into a big fight win. Get some time on that control meter. At least a tick, you're hoping. Here we go, though. China moving in. They managed to separate Nico a little bit from the rest of the team. That's going to force Nico to pop that self-destruct. China backing away, and Nox chasing down Eileen for the kill. And that's going to be China probably having to reset yet again.
Nox has been doing a solid job of chasing down kills over the course of this series. We've seen him push out very far and finish off some of the players who have a high amount of poke damage on him who are already chunked out. And that's leading to a lot of scenarios where China has to be staggered and they need to wait for just a little bit longer before they press their attack one more time.
And we've been talking to some of these Winston players too, and they've been telling us about how they have been having to adjust their play styles. You can't be quite as aggressive as you could in the big dive meta now. So really, skills like Nox just showed us finding the right opportunities to finish off kills are what Winston's really need to excel at these days.
Yes, and a big reason.
Oh boy, here we go. Eileen with the Dragon Blade. It's time. AKM already goes down, looking for a little bit more. Ungo does bring AKM back up again, and China looking like they're stalled out so far on this attack. Yunfeng does manage to bring back Yao Yao, so they've got maybe a little bit of momentum to bring onto the point, but France, they've got those respawns yet again. There's a self-destruct for Nico. They've got the transcendence from wins as well, and France going to hold yet again. China still unable to take a single tick here on point B.
Yeah, but how high was the price that France had to pay? We saw Uber talking about this on the desk. They have a tendency, and they have had for a long time, to layer their support ultimates or commit more support ultimates than they necessarily need. I think in that fight, Unko's Valkyrie was enough to stabilize and wins late a little bit with that transcendence, and that's one fewer tool that they are going to have for the next 60 seconds. And Zhu Fanjun is going to be coming in with a transcendence of his own, and that makes things tricky.
A little bit of damage from Wins. That helps Soon pick up that kill. And it makes Yunfeng use that ult, or not the ult, it's not an ult anymore, use that res early just to keep his team's push alive. But now time taken up by AKM's Helix rockets. So France already in a pretty good position to hold this one again. China not giving up though. Maybe they need to now. We'll see. I don't know.
Trying to dance away from this Winston, but does get the biotic field down. And
we're seeing a little desperation from China at this point, and we should, because there's only 20 seconds left. They need to get something done right now.
And it's gonna have to be Yao Yao with that primal rage, stalling out the point for as long as he can. Soon walks forward, seeing if anybody's coming around the right-hand side of the point to stall them out. Liu. He's gonna touch it
I'm gonna stay here.
Leave Doa right now.
I'm sorry. There we go, we're into overtime right now. China with a pretty rough start here. Soon holding strong on the point. There's the self-destruct yet again for Nico. Time very low. Oh, gets brought back up at the last second by that transcendence from Zhu Fanjun. Overtime bar, though, still needs to be taken very seriously for China. It's going to keep ticking faster and faster. Support ults coming in from France. They've got the Zen ult, they've got the Mercy ult, and they've got what it takes, it looks like, to hold this one. We'll see. Yao Yao coming in with the primal rage now. Attempt number 2 for China in this last big push. But again, we've said it many times, France has that big defender's advantage. And it is showing, even as Nox nearly falls to the pulse bomb. That is going to be China, I believe, yes, unable to take a single tick on point B. That is pretty rough for them.
It is pretty rough, Doa. It's hard to full hold on Hanamura.
Yeah.
So not even getting a single tick means that France does have at least some wiggle room, quite a bit of wiggle room, in fact, to work with. They get a pretty quick, fast push, then we could see 5-6 minutes remaining on the clock for them to get that 33%. And
well, you know, as the defenders on Hanamura, you expect to lose point A. It's pretty rare to hold it right there. But if you can keep your opponents from getting anything on point B, that's where the real big defensive wins come in on this map. So I think if I'm Team France right now, I'm feeling pretty good about coming to this attack round.
Yeah, I think I would be too. And we're looking at some of the compositions here as these teams are about to head out as they swap sides. And it seems like we are going to see that Junkrat for Eileen again on the defense.
Okay, interesting. I mean, there's a lot of spam. You can toss through that door, that choke point. Pretty tough for the attackers sometimes if you've got a lot of grenades coming through.
It's interesting to me, though, that they're playing Junkrat Winston around this choke point. Because you would typically see in some of these defensive positions where you have only one major choke point for the attacking team to go through, maybe a Reinhardt or an Orisa here for the more static defense.
Sure.
Well, we'll see how aggressively Eileen wants to play this Junkrat. If he's going to get right in the face of the opposition, it might be a viable tactic.
It could be. Meanwhile, over on the France side, you can see in the upper left AKM on that McCree. So swapping it over.
I mean, I like this from France. They're assuming that China's going to be running the Genji. They are, in fact, not. AKM, I imagine, will probably switch to the Pharah pretty quickly here because that's been his preference when he sees the Tracer and Junkrat combination during this series.
Whoa, whoops. Don't step in that bush, it's very dangerous. The dreaded bush trap.
That's pretty troll.
Yep. And Uncle's like, I'm not even going to res you, man. I mean, you deserve that. You deserve that spawn timer. You never step in that bush.
And there we go. He's going to switch heroes anyway, so that's why the res wasn't going to come through. And Wins also is going to make a change over to the Lucio. So wanting to rush in quickly through this gap and use that speed boost.
Yep. Here we go. The volume has been raised. AKM getting a kill already. France charging into the point, and China in a little bit of trouble as we start things off here. Nico popped out of the suit, but he's still alive for the moment here. Wins getting bloodthirsty, trying to chase out that Mercy, but it's tough, man. They've got the point, though. They've got that defensive spot now. China, kind of the attackers at this point. And that's not going to work out. France is going to take a relatively quick point A here.
Very convincing, and again, it comes from AKM on the far. He has been doing a surprisingly good job of killing Leave on Tracer during this best of 5. And he's been tactical about it too. He's been swapping over to the Pharah and then making sure the Tracer is out of blinks and just sort of chasing her around the map.
Right.
He's going to make a change over to the Soldier, of course, with the interior high ground here. It makes it easier to clean up the point, especially when you only have that one tick and you've got such a long time to get it.
Well, I mean, similar situation in Mbani where we have France coming into a situation where they just need one tick on the point to win the map. Going in the high ground, time already demeched. That's going to be a problem for China, taken down by Nox. There's a finishing blow. Rez comes in, Gunfang. Oh, he goes down. Nox gets a Mercy. That is big transcendence from China now as they just barely try to hold on to the point. That should buy them time to get a respawn, maybe. But remember, again, France just needs that one tick.
Keep on pushing forward, too. Primal Rage is there. Self-destruct is going to come through. That's going to get a little bit of time for the Chinese players to respawn, but the pressure is still on for France.
I mean, this is great for France. China's had to use basically everything except for the Valkyrie right now just to hold on to this one tick, and France hasn't even been pushed back all the way yet. Eileen finally takes down Soon, but Yunfang, he's going to go ahead and pop that Valkyrie, and that may just give China, maybe I spoke too soon here. France coming back with another kills, and now AKM with that tag visor. He's got the heal. He's got the damage once he needs it. Oh, and now he's got some time to think about how that didn't work out, as it looks like China will hold in the end just for the moment.
A little eager on the tack visor, Doa. If we take a look after the dust settles on that fight where France is, they nearly have both of their support ultimates up right now. Yunfang had to use his Valkyrie in that last fight, so had they had the tack visor coming into this next attack, I think it was probably going to be a done deal, but looks like they got a bit greedy, thought they could close the map immediately instead of waiting just a hair longer for a more guaranteed play. That said, they're still at a big advantage as they walk right back in.
That Transcendence brings Nico up from getting demeched a little bit early. Soon gets that demech onto time in response, actually. And the opportunities for France coming in here. Oh, Wins taken down by Eileen. He's going to get res, though. Bring that robot back from the dead. That makes sense, I guess. France jumps onto the point right now, trying to get that single tick. China has their own Transcendence again. Oh, Eileen. Oh, we can't quite find the kill into AKM. Nox on the high ground to protect his Soldier. There's a sneaky Winston.
Attack visor back up again. AKM basically uncontested.
Much better position for Soldier with this attack visor. That is huge, and I think France has what it takes. They only need that tick and they get it. France takes the lead in this best of 5.
Convincing onto Hanamura.
Very.
Especially when we consider them more of a Volskaya specialist team. But they show that their prowess on assaults is not limited to that one map, and eventually get the setup they need and the high ground advantage with that tactical visor to clear it out for a little bit of time, the very small amount of time they need to take that 33%.
Yeah, I mean, how many of these maps have you seen end with Soldier with that tack visor on the high ground? That is a finishing blow nearly every time. Let's throw it to a quick break, guys, and when we come back, we'll see if China can tie it up or if France takes this one home.
I will watch over you.
BlizzCon 2017 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2017 Overwatch World Cup. France in the lead over Team China. If they can win the next map, they will move on to the semifinals.
And do you like the sounds of didgeridoos, Doa?
I love it. In fact, I've been learning how to play a didgeridoo ever since our group stage in Australia. I bought one. I've been learning to play it. I won't torture everybody by doing it right now. Believe it or not, I did bring it with me to BlizzCon. But next year, guys. The closing concert is me on the didgeridoo next year. Spoiler
okay, that's
alert.
great.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to really look forward to that one.
I got the okay from Blizzard already. Don't worry.
Spoilers.
That's right. Spoiler alert. We're going to Junkertown, guys. I love this map. It's a lot of fun to play. A lot of open stuff. I like that open stuff. A lot of pros we talk to, they're not as much of a fan of the big open spaces. But I don't play against as good of Widowmakers as they do in my game, so I can understand that.
I think it's interesting because there's a lot of strategies that we don't see on other maps, such as the pirate ship, as the pro players have started calling Reinhardt, Orisa, Bastion on the nice pile of gold doubloons on the payload. It's pretty funny. We also do, as you say, see a lot of Widowmaker, and when we've seen Miraculous Youngster play, particularly on this patch, because remember, this was a team that Leave played on, we've seen that Widowmaker, so we know he likes to do it on attack, but it looks like it might be time for a partial pirate ship.
Let's set sail, Monte Cristo, as China goes on the attack here. Bastion, Orisa, they are ready to man the pirate ship if they can get to the payload. France defending really close up, actually.
I mean, you have to do this.
Yeah.
We heard about Mr. X and Uber talking about it in their last match on Junkertown. If you let people get onto this payload, there's really not a good way to attack it because there's so much open space. You're basically crossing a vast no man's land. And here comes the Bastion, and this is probably just going to be a push through right now. It's so hard to approach when you have to use all your movement abilities and defensive abilities to close to the cart.
That's right. Jufan Jun off of the support hero onto the Bastion now. The pirate ship sailing its way through the end of point A. Yo, it's a tire, but not the dangerous kind. That was just a regular tire.
A little bit confusing.
A little bit. Oh, he exits the pirate ship. No, robots can't swim. What are you doing? Oh, hooked. Nico on that Roadhog again. Oh, but there's a bit of revenge. Jufan Jun finding the kills on this Bastion, and apparently robots can swim, man. He doesn't need any pirate ship. He's a strong, independent robot who don't need no pirate ship.
I would love to have a pirate ship. I don't think anybody's so strong and independent that they don't need a pirate ship, Doa.
That's true.
I need a pirate ship.
That's true. We could, you know, sail the 7 seas and, you know, take booty.
I gotta do that anyway.
I didn't know you sailed.
I fly, you know, but.
All right, China moves on to point B here. Pirate ship still sailing through. Deco over on the Genji now. That Reflect, always nice use on the Bastion, especially now. Oh, Hunko shot out of the air by that cannon. Jufan Jun, man, this Bastion is just a terror for France to behold, and they have not really slowed down China yet.
But if you can get them off the cart, like we saw in that Canada-Australia match, they are going to have to switch. But it sort of just keeps on rolling unopposed until you can just convince them gently to leave the cart for a time being.
Convince them gently, all right. Double res comes in.
If you have a pulse bomb, Leave needs to hit a pulse bomb onto this cart.
Yeah. Here we go. Time goes ahead and pops that whole hog. That's just going to push France back even further. They're still scattered a bit. The payload has been stopped for the moment. Time waiting for a chance to take a breather again. He's going to get a little bit of healing on his way out, but it doesn't stop the payload. And China still pushing strong. France has, they have to defend for over 5 minutes, man. That's crazy.
It's a long time, and there's just so much damage. The never-ending Orisa shields to protect them. They have the Orisa ultimate up to power up the Bastion. It's not looking fantastic for France here. AKM only with that tactical visor to use, and there are enough barriers to prevent that from doing a lot of damage.
Right. So we've set sail yet again. I have not often seen it go this far, actually, with this strategy. This is a rare treat.
Yes.
And they've got the supercharger, too, on Yao Yao ready to go. He could drop the bongo at any time. Nox, that shield's not going to last long, and Nox is going to not last long afterwards either. China still pushing forward strong. Hunko, oh, watch out, man. You know what happened last time. And Xiaofan Jun jumps ahead. Looking for that play of the game. Emoting a little bit even at the end. Turns around for the fadeaway cannon onto Wins. And China just destroying France on this attack round.
This is such a huge time for China right now. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. And France has not been able to put a coherent defense up against this at all.
Not at all, man. This has been about as one-sided as you can imagine. And it is pretty much there. Contested just a little bit farther. 0.21 meters to go. And that is at China with nearly 4 minutes left in the time bank. They will crush their attack round on Junkertown.
And this is one of those times where if you are trying to defend against this, now it is hard to defend against this on this map, no doubt.
Sure.
But you have to be able to land that pulse bomb. But even if you get it, sometimes it's just not enough, because the res will be there or some other tool will be there to try and keep that Bastion alive. So this is how it was broken in the last match, as we see Canada versus Australia.
Right. Now they were able to stop it for the moment, but no such luck for France. Big part of that XQC on that Reinhardt really did help out in that particular case.
Yeah, you have to get on top of it. You have to be able to use that defensive matrix to protect the team, or try and just jump in with the Genji. Maybe you get some deflect damage from the Bastion, or Diva has a large amount of burst with the rockets right now, but France seemed reluctant to make the actual play onto the cart.
And you can't hesitate like that, man. You got to get in there. You have to take out that Bastion. You have to break up that death ball on the payload.
Yeah, you do. And we are heading into the defense round now for Team China. They are on Torbjorn.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting when you guys get a shot of it in a second. We've got Orisa Torbjorn set up for China here. I'm liking it. All right.
I'm into it. We'll see how it goes.
Dare I say I'm loving it?
Are you loving it? I'm not loving it yet. We'll see. I am intrigued by it.
I just know whenever I look at Team China right now, I get hungry, and I'm not quite sure why. I haven't figured it out yet. It's just a feeling I've been getting.
It's a Pavlovian response.
That's right. There it is. I'm starving now. China really set up to try to full hold as much as they can. This is like the fort. See, France is going to sail the pirate ship into the port, and they're going to try to fire the cannons onto shore. But you can see China has some defenses set up on the land.
Yeah, they do. AKM on the Widowmaker, at least out of the doors. Can he get a pick? He's going to stay on it, even though they are also running that Orisa Bastion. So lots of long-range damage. I mean, that turret's not going to last very long.
No, soon takes it down immediately. Takes out Leave as well. France not really slowed down at all with their attack round yet. Yao Yao cowering behind the makeshift barrier here. And they need to get a hook or something onto Bastion. No, it's not going to happen. Time picked off by AKM on that Widowmaker. And the thing is, what France is doing is creating so much space for AKM to just free fire with that Widowmaker.
Yeah, no contest on him whatsoever. The turret's going to go down again, and this is the power of piracy.
I guess so. There you go. Not that we're advocating piracy, guys.
I am. I'm advocating piracy.
Monty is. All right. Some run-ins with the East India Trading Company, have we?
Many times, but I've come out the richer and the wiser for them, Doa.
You know, the one with the nickname Sparrow, as we've learned, is apparently Genji, so he may actually be our pirate captain in disguise. You never know. Well, France takes a pretty easy point A, and as simple as it looked for China to push through on this attack round, it's looking pretty similar for France. But Eileen, he's going to swap over to the defensive bastion. They're doubling down on this hard point defense here.
It's time for a full broadside from both teams.
I guess so. Wow, AKM died twice in quick succession there. It's got to be disorienting.
Right, so here's Soon. Once again, on the low ground, China has taken over the high ground, viewing the choke point with their own Bastion and Reinhardt combination. And this is going to prompt a hasty retreat. Soon has 99% of his ult, and he is going to Tracer.
Huh. All right, I'm surprised. I'm a little bit surprised they would trade off when he had that ultimate available. Didn't want to make one more push doing it, but it's all about speed for France. They've got to try to equalize China, and they're just going to go for it.
He didn't have an angle to get the ultimate off, so I think that's the logic behind it. They'd rather just go ahead and jump on this, but...
Nox is trying to throw the shield down up on the high ground just to give his team some room to advance, but it didn't quite work out here. Uncle brings him back. France struggling a little bit, though, on the payload. And you can see that composition, similar composition to the one that worked for Canada earlier on their defense. Working okay for China so far. They've got Eileen protected. The emote spam is real, guys.
He's just beeping away as he mows down Nox, the unfortunate gorilla on the low ground.
Yep.
And they've really managed to hold quite substantially in this corner.
Yeah. Wow.
Soon's trying for a long, long flank right now, but Leave already with the read on him.
That's right. Here we go again. You know, nobody really able to do much about this Bastion right now. They've got the defensive matrix and they've got the Reinhardt shield. Really hard to get through that to take down the Bastion.
Yeah, Leave wins the duel with Soon. So that duel was going on the side that entire time, and now everybody going to have to leave AKM, the one who swapped over to D.Va after Nico went on to the Genji. So they're attempting to dive this Bastion, but China, these players have been playing on this map, on this patch. They have that professional experience that Team France lacks on Junkertown, and it really is showing right now.
Absolutely. China just unable to be dislodged from this high ground defense. Nico trying to sneak in there to get the payload moving a little bit, maybe. Hasn't quite worked out. That Earth Shatter available now for Yao Yao, too, on that Reinhardt.
Very methodical. Back off, reset up, make sure you have the sidelines, and don't overcommit where you're not in range of that Bastion. They're going to try for a Dragon Blade.
Yeah, Soon falls early. Eileen running back to the defense of his team. And oh, Nox getting taken out too. So that Dragon Blade not working out for Nico at all. Eileen just nearly untouchable. Finally, they take him down, but he's immediately res again by Yongfang. Meanwhile, that payload starting to move just a little bit for France, but it's going to get stopped again as China manages to solidify the defense a bit.
And this is what's so hard to defeat about this comp on Junkertown. Yeah, if you all in and you kill the Bastion, well, if he gets rezzed, he still has all that open space to get back into turret form and clean it up immediately afterwards. And every time China is changing their location, so France is a very slow process.
Yeah.
Walk in, peek, see if they can ascertain where the Bastion is, and then try and formulate a plan of attack, but it's wasting quite a bit of time.
And speaking of time, he's doing such a good job of protecting that defense on the high ground. Flew right back up there again, and that's opening up for Eileen to come in, get the triple kill with the cannon. And China, again, rock solid defense here as France back to the drawing board with only about a minute 20 remaining in their attack run.
They look really comfortable on this map.
They really do, man. They really do. You can see why they picked it. Here's the shot from Eileen's point of view, that last big ultimate on the Bastion, and man, feels good. Oh, even picking Uncle out of the air again. Nice shot.
Self-destruct now available, as we can see, 4-time on the payload, and only Nox right now with that Primal Rage, and that's not going to be too helpful. against the amount of damage that China can push out.
Oh, wins left on his own, and yeah, that Diva, if you combine that with a bit of dive from the Tracer, you can get a lot of damage done. Gets stuck, gets to mech, there's the self-destruct. China just trying to hold on here. Time back in the mech yet again. They're going to sustain the defense for just a little bit longer, but France maybe has found a way to pick it apart just a bit. Leave does fall. That payload's still not moving, though.
We missed the play, Doa. It was Nico who came in at the end, but they're going to respond with a bit of an all-in right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Using that Transcendence, they do force the Dragon Blade out from Nico.
It's so
this
close,
is desperation territory with only 13 seconds remaining.
That payload needs to get there for France, and it looks like they may have just done it. Have they? Yes, they have. They buy themselves a bit more time, but not much. Still dire straits for France.
Even the best case scenario, they may be able to push it through, perhaps into overtime. Got a long way to go through this third and final stage, and it took them such an extended amount of thinking and preparing to beat the Bastion, and now they've got to do it once again.
Yeah. Oh, Reinhardt very, very low there. Yao Yao in a lot of trouble, gets the heals at just the right moment. Nico not quite able to deal that finishing damage. There's the self-destruct. Shield wasn't dropped though, and there's the slash. Nico gets one, needs more. There it is, gets two as Yanfang falls, and that is going to be a huge play for France. They really needed that. They needed a big fight win to get some distance on the payload.
And France finally cracked the code, Doa. They're able to get quick back-to-back Dragon Blades, commit them in those small spaces, and punish the Mercy for being in a confined location.
Time to take this payload home, thinks Team France. China with a last-ditch defense here.
Eileen has the ult.
Yep, hanging out. There it is. Their shatter dropped. Didn't really get them enough. We'll see if Eileen can clean it up. That Transcendence doesn't stop you from dying to that cannon if you take the full hit. Oh, there's a stick onto Eileen soon. So ready for that. Hid from the Bastion ultimate. Came back in. Another big win for France. Can they channel this into this third point take? Leaves so low. Trying to hold it, knocks in the couple kills. Overtime has been initiated, but France is going to roll forward. They will finish Junkertown. It was close, but in the end, France was clutch.
And they did finish it in overtime. So we end things here with France barely able to come back and at least give themselves a shot. But it is a 1-minute shot against the 4 minutes and 56 seconds of China.
Yeah.
Both 5 times the amount of time bank.
It's tough, man.
This could be a truly epic match. We will see.
Yeah. It would be heroic if France was able to win the match at this point, man, because again, 1 minute to 4:56, that is going to be really, really tough to answer. But they're going to get a chance to do it first. China's going to be on the defense. France going to be on the attack. And they've just got to push the payload. That's just it. They just can't get off of it. So I think from what we've seen so far, they got to establish that pirate ship early and then just never get sunk.
I think that's it. I think you just have to go for the same strategy again if you're France.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that can really snowball hard at this point, unless you're feeling super optimistic about early kills as Widowmaker. But China says, you know what? We're not going to play the Torbjorn this time. We'll just go with the Bastion immediately. And
I think that's probably wise. Eileen seems to be a pretty solid Bastion player.
Leave will be on the Widowmaker on defense, playing even further back.
Here we go. France on the payload, pushing forward. They've got both shields this time.
AKM was in front of the Orisa shield. Why was he in front of the Orisa shield?
That's a resurrection they did not want to use early on Unko. That's going to hurt a little bit as they try to get reestablished on the payload.
That's actually pretty huge.
Yeah, that could end up really coming back to haunt them here. We'll see. Good positioning for AKM right now. That's big. Soon gets to it, the concussion mine. And they are going to get reestablished on the payload finally. AKM rolling forward. Eileen low. Can they finish him off? There's the kill on to time. And Zhufan Jun on the run.
And this is a great adaptation from France. They come in with twice as many barriers with both the Reinhardt and the Orisa, and soon also going to be chunking through the enemy barriers very fast with the Junkrat spam damage. So they win the barrier wars by having twice as many barriers and a lot more damage to punch through, and that's where they punish China. So in spite of a bit of an early gaffe, it wasn't quite enough to send them back to spawn, and now we're in overtime. Nobody can leave this cart, and how fast can France, well, not fast, how far?
Yeah, really, it's about how the distance, really. Yeah. So, France in overtime now. This is time bank mode, guys. You don't get any extra time for taking a point, and France knows it. This is it, man. Oh, the self-destruct comes in. Gotta be careful. Transcendence for wins, trying to keep people alive. That was a tricky move by China, but France holding strong for the moment. But it's OT. They gotta stay close to that payload. China doing everything they can to push them back. AKM with that Bastion ultimate. Student gets the double kill with the Riptire. And that is exactly what France needed to maybe get a bit more distance on this payload.
This is some heroics from France right here. They are certainly making this an interesting match. They have to keep going, though. It's not enough yet. With 5 minutes for China, can they get through point B?
Now they're getting there. China, you know, doesn't have a lot to use. Leave has that pulse bomb that could be big if he manages to land it on the payload, but they may have to give up point B here. Eileen comes in just at the very end. Leave goes down before he can ultimate. No, he didn't get anything. And again, France coming out ahead in this fight. I can't believe it. We are still in OT and they take point B.
This is such a big move from France. They struggled so hard to push through in their last attack round, but now they are making it look easy. China starting to swap off some of their heroes. They reset a bunch of their ult economy by pushing Eileen over onto the Genji. And they threw everything they could at that cart before it arrived at point B, and France continues to move.
I mean, remember, France started off with 1 minute in the time bank, and here they are, close to completing another attack round. You very rarely see pushes like this. Great effort for France already. There's the up for AKM, takes down lead. Another big fight coming in. Ooh, Time gets a couple with his self-destruct, but it may not be enough for China. 15-player kill streak for AKM on that Bastion, and that payload, Monte Cristo, is still moving.
He is just crushing it right now. France, when the going got tough, they have put together an epic push in this overtime period. Soon, trying to get a kill onto Leave right now. Leave harassing him on that high ground.
He's got that Riptire. This needs to be big. It's the only ult France has at the moment. No kills with that one. China coming back, but France answering too. There's the reses coming in. AKM stuck though. Do they have the res for him? No, they used it on Wins. They're without their Bastion. Wins pops that Transcendence, and France, they need to find a way to win this fight shorthanded if they want to complete it. They're so close though. They're nearly there. There goes Yao Yao. Gonna get rezzed again by Yanfang again. Of course, Nico just sitting on that payload. Remember, that meter will just be gone instantly if they leave it, and they are sticking around. Eileen doing what he can, but man, France is still there. The payload's moving forward. Yanfang has to jump onto it himself to try to stay alive. Leave on the Doomfist, but he can't get any kills. And here we go. Do they do it? France did it! They completed 1 minute in the time bank, and they will finish their attack round on Junkertown. I have almost never seen that happen before.
That was incredible, especially with how hard they struggled against that Chinese defense. They got the read finally. It took them 4 or 5 minutes. They figured out how to execute these dives, and they mix up their look on attack. They run the double barrier with the Junkrat alongside the Bastion, and this time they have enough to power all the way through. So France, that is just insanely impressive, and they have 6 points now on the board, and that's what China's going to have to match to keep this thing going.
You can count the number of times that has happened in a pro match on one hand. That is, and I don't think you need to get higher than 3 actually. That almost never happens. What a round to see here at BlizzCon. That was incredible by France. But keep in mind, China, they still have nearly 5 minutes for their attack run, and they could do a lot with that.
But But you talk about mental fortitude, and a lot of teams that have less experienced players would be thrown by that kind of frustration on attack.
That's tilt-inducing, man. We're not going to Junkertown anymore. We're going to Tilt Town.
Absolutely, but these guys have been playing on stages, some of them for a decade. So this is nothing new for them, and when the going got tough, they just got tougher.
Oh, sneaky France hiding right outside the spawn. Eileen falls immediately. They use the res to bring him back. Now France back on the payload. They need to have a big start. Nico does go down early. No res used on the side of France here. China struggling to get onto the payload. But it looks like they've got France scattered enough that, yeah, they'll be able to get it going here. Oh, Nox picked off. That's actually really big for time. That's going to enable China to do a lot more. AKM, that was a bold move on the Bastion.
He got hooked in, so he didn't really have much of a choice right there. Best case scenario, he can take somebody with him. China not fooled by the aggressive defense. Now they've got the setup onto the cart here on Junkertown, and they will be sailing their way through Point A.
That's right. Not a whole lot that China has to deal with at the moment. France, are they going to try to defend again here? Riptire, incoming. Yeah, Jun able to pick that one off. Back on the Bastion, of course. Running with that solo support. Ooh, taken down though. Nice pick for France, and that's the go button. They got to get in there and make something happen. Oh, a stick again. Beautiful stuff. Leave trying to stop France.
They came shut down by the Riptire during his ultimate, though.
Yeah. Oh, there's a res. Brings AKM back again. Leave being super annoying in the back here. There's Nox going down. Leave is putting this team on his back right now. Oko taking out Leave. Hard carrying China through Point A.
He absolutely was, because France came onto the high ground with double the barriers, so they were able to push through the single Orisa barrier onto the cart. And if that pulse bomb doesn't land, that may have been a very long hold for France. But China comes up with the play when they're a man down, and they're going to get through here to Point B. Still have 3 minutes.
That's right, plenty of time to keep pushing. And here's the spot where France really wants to kind of buy some time, but oh man, Jun getting a couple kills with that Bastion already, and China continuing to roll forward here. Changing over to the Roadhog has made a pretty big difference here. The hooks time has been great. Jun, he's got the ult. Oh, gets charged into oblivion though after a successful Riptire from Soon, and it looks like France has bought themselves some time.
That's right. That's where the setup is probably going to end for China. Now we ask, are they going to change things over? Looks like they will. No more Bastion here for the Chinese side, and they're going to make some other adjustments. Meanwhile, France, they're happy with where things are, setting up with the Orisa Reinhardt.
So Time gave up his Roadhog ultimate to swap over the Diva, really wanting to just value composition over any ultimates they have available.
Well, he's not going to get a hook onto the high ground behind a Grind shield and a Orisa shield.
It's going to be tough,
so
yeah.
Not really a lot of point.
No time coming up. All right. The Bongo goes down for France. They've got that supercharger from Orisa powering everybody up, but that payload is moving. They need to take advantage of it. They start to. Soon takes out Leave. Yao Yao getting batted around a bit by Nox. You notice I didn't say knocked around by Nox. Hello, France. It's a brawl right now.
Another stick onto AKM, though. Leave making sure he can control this Bastion. China playing around the pulse bomb.
Yeah. France is doing what they can, but Leave is kind of just running unopposed. I mean, France doesn't have the most mobile composition for defense right now, and that's really letting Leave do what he wants on the sides.
Well, China's also distracting them so that Leave is coming in late in these engagements. So he's waiting for that Bastion to be committed to attempting to kill somebody else, and then changing up the style of his play and coming in late with that pulse bomb.
Yep, Eileen gonna take a little bit longer to join his team, as he did get picked off early on as the payload starts moving here through Point C. 45 seconds or so left for China. They have to equalize or France will win this match.
That's huge.
Taken out. Leave getting another crucial pick. AKM very vulnerable. That flashbang did not connect. Another kill. Leave again stepping up where the rest of his team could not. Oh, but wins with the kill in the end. Meanwhile, though, the rest of Team China winning this fight handily. Eileen looking for victims, can't find anything with that Riptire. Maybe would have wanted to save that one a little bit longer.
Wins is going to be coming back with the Transcendence, though. Xu Fanjun used his in the last fight. So leave another Pulse Bomb. He has been the ace with that ability in this series so far.
This is it. We're going to go into OT. The difference between a tie series or France winning and moving on. China needs to finish this round right here, right now. Eileen getting knocked up to that high ground. Transcendence for France to try to keep people up. Oh, but that's 2 kills from Time in the self-destruct. France answering back again, and this time Leeds heroics are not quite enough. He will fall. France has the opportunity. There's the self-destruct. Overtime ticking away. Can China find a way to stay on the payload? Yao Yao just trying to live, but he can't do it. OT ticking, and France will win this best of 5 and move on.
In such an epic fashion, Doa.
No kidding.
5 minutes, 4 minutes and 56 seconds to be precise for China in time bank.
Yeah.
1 minute, 60 seconds for France. And they push through the whole map in that minute with the overtime.
You know, we said that France needed to put forth a Herculean effort to win this map, and that is exactly what they did. Incredible performance in that secondary attack run in the time bank, taking 1 minute, turning it into a win.
I'm just so impressed with their adjustments and their mental fortitude to power through that. You know, sometimes it's better to start thinking about the next map, which they would have had a selection. They would have been able to select.
Sure, they could have chose.
But they didn't back down at all. It just kept on powering through.
That's right. So while we get our desk ready to break that match down, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's figure out what just happened there. China versus France. That was a great match. We'll be back with you just in a few.
BlizzCon 2017 is brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Avec les six. Congratulations to Team France in a grueling matchup against China. Unbelievable. Junkertown, the home of Bastion, the home of pirate ships. You gotta love it. James, that was an amazing game.
That was an amazing game. Both teams really relying upon that Bastion defense to really grind away at the timer. And we got to see what it did to France's time on their first offense, which made it that much more impressive when they only had 1 minute to push it all the way to the end once again.
Miracles are had in Junkertown, man. That you gotta love it. Okay, so you know Junkertown very well.
Apparently. Born and raised there.
Born and raised. Yeah. It makes. All right, but let's just talk about this because your thoughts on China's just the way that they play that out. I mean, this was, I believe, this was their pick, and this is something that they were familiar with coming out of APAC.
This is something we've been seeing so far, and both teams, to be fair, kind of had this tacit understanding that the pirate ship was the best way to play this map. And now, obviously, some people watch it and go, okay, great, they're going to push towards the end. But for me, when I look at this and I put this under the microscope, the most interesting part is the variations that you make around that. For example, France bringing in the Roadhog and actually sacrificing the Reinhardt. So they give away some shielding power in order to use a Roadhog who can flank on his own and punish people who are trying to hide behind cover to break line of sight with the Bastion on the payload. That's one variation. The other one obviously is to, instead of having that extra shield, your enemy team might have the Orisa and the Bastion, and we saw China play Reinhardt and Bastion. Yeah. Numerically, you have 1,100 points of shield damage advantage in that isolated 2v2 scenario. So you kind of tilt the numbers in your favor and say, well, our Bastion can stay alive behind the shield longer than theirs can if we do theoretically the same amount of damage. So that's fun. It's a fun little thing to examine. Yeah. And it's good to see these two teams making these small adjustments as the series went on to try and get the upper hand.
Well, speaking of small adjustments, though, the Chinese team made this adjustment recognizing France couldn't respond on second defense. You have a highlight for us, James. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
Yeah, as we go back into Junkertown, we noticed that during the second phase of Junkertown, the Chinese were staying mobile with their composition. At this point, France had to reapproach this and figure out how they were going to break this defense, but they weren't able to. It took so long for them. This is one of the last fights before they were able to finally find some miracle here. And as we see, France, they're making their approach, and as soon as they jump on in, take a look. Eileen doesn't even care. He focuses down AKM because he knows that's going to be the main damage mitigation, forces out the DMEC, and he pushes forward with that configuration tank just to tear them apart. Even if he does go down, he's got the res, and he's right back into this.
Yeah, some great timing there, without a doubt, from the Chinese roster, recognizing that the priority target is right in front of him, so we need to be able to isolate that. And because of the resurrection, you have that gimme. You can just come right back into the game. You're like, I'll bring you back, homie. And then, you know, he just flies right in, Mercy to the rescue. That being said, though, the star at the end of this game goes to AKM, and I believe we have some stats if we could bring it up in just a little bit. I haven't even had a chance to take a look at it, but I can only imagine that it's absolutely ridiculous. So this is the statistics for the squad as a whole. The damage done, 78, I don't know how to do numbers and math apparently, 78,000 damage done, but I want to take a closer look at AKM when we get that opportunity to do so. Just the damage that they were outputting on that Bastion, which is proving that the pirate ship strategy worked out. And apparently, oh yeah, the Team USA came outside in South Korea, so that's where we're at right now. Here we are. So there's Eileen. There's your stats for Eileen there on the screen. But this is the player I want to talk about. AKM, 7 tank kills, 14 sentry kills, 8,799 damage done, 23 eliminations. So efficient at the end. This had to have come like toward the tail end of the game because Homeboy was on a 15 kill streak.
There was exactly one point where Doa pointed out 15 elimination streak, and it was interesting to see how like try to adjust to that, but it looks like they weren't used to actually having the pirate ship used against them because they didn't know how to approach it themselves. They just knew that it was really strong defense and really strong offense too.
I enjoyed the switch over. Okay, we saw Soon and AKM switch roles, so we actually got to see the Junkrat and the Bastion instead of the Widowmaker and the Bastion. And I feel like the French team using that definitely allowed them to snowball. That final overtime when they finished the whole map with 1 minute, the Junkrat paired with the Bastion was very important because again, those shields are lasting half as long. You're able to snowball almost twice as hard, especially when Widowmaker is super dependent on hitting those headshots. Whereas Junkrat, if they're in a choke, they're going to struggle to be able to come out and even face the Bastion that's probably going to mow them down anyway.
I mean, that was just bananas to see both teams make those adjustments with the Bastion. And also, you know, it's just always good to see some Bastion. And I know a lot of people will hate me for saying that, but I don't care because it's great.
You do you, GB. That's cool, man.
I do me, baby. That's how I roll. In any case, though, I also roll with my homeboys over at T-Mobile. Hey, there we go. Look at that.
Who's the wordsmith now?
Oh, no, you're still the king of that one. So with that being said, guys, we want to know who your MVP is. Maybe it's AKM. Maybe his incredible Bastion play and the millions of Bastion players all around the world can rally behind AKM and give him that T-Mobile MVP. And the way you do that is very simple. You use the command T-Mobile MVP, and then you use the player's battle tag. In this case, you know, let's just say AKM, for example, with this great Bastion play. And then if you're on Twitter, easy there as well. Hashtag T-Mobile MVP. battle tag. Let's take a look at the leaderboard, though, and see who is currently in the lead right now. And it's still XQC. Come on,
PogChamp Doggies, my boy, up there, 54%. Let's go.
At some point in time, we have to change this up, people. You know, like he's
only gaining momentum at this point.
It's on. People are just voting just to irk me at this point. They're voting XQC. I've been seeing it on Twitch.
Keep voting for XQC. That's all I have to say. Give me that content.
Oh my goodness. Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure to have you guys on the desk for this, and I'm really excited for our next matchup of the day. It's going to be South Korea taking on the United States of America. We have a capacity crowd here at BlizzCon. It's going to be rockets. It's going to be awesome, and we'll see you on the other side.